The waiting room of St. Francis Memorial Hospital buzzed with the usual chaos of a late evening shift. Nurses hurried between patients, the soft beeping of monitors filled the air, and the pungent scent of antiseptic clung to the walls. It was a night like any other, until room 407 changed everything. Dr. Elijah Carter, a well-respected cardiothoracic surgeon, glanced at the chart in his hands before stepping inside. He was used to difficult patients, but nothing could prepare him for what awaited him that night. Before we continue with this story, please hit the subscribe button to support this channel. You should also turn on the notification button for more inspiring stories. Thank you. Inside the room, an elderly man with sharp blue eyes and a scowl sat upright in his hospital bed. His name was Henry Whitmore, a retired businessman known for his wealth and his outdated beliefs. His daughter, Claire, sat beside him, her face lined with exhaustion and quiet worry. Elijah took a deep breath before introducing himself. "Good evening, Mr. Whitmore. I'm Dr. Carter, your attending physician." Henry barely looked at him before sneering. "You? My doctor?" He scoffed loudly, his voice carrying enough disdain to turn heads outside the room. There must be some mistake. Claire's eyes widened, and she squeezed her father's hand. "Dad. Please." The nurse who accompanied Dr. Carter into Mr. Whitmore's room was stunned, but couldn't find any word to address Mr. Whitmore. Elijah, maintaining his composure, continued. "No mistake, sir. I'm your lead surgeon. You've suffered a significant cardiac episode, and we need to discuss your treatment plan." Henry chuckled bitterly, shaking his head. "Oh, this is rich. A black doctor? Where's the real one? I want someone competent." Silence hung in the air like a dense fog. Claire's face flushed red with embarrassment as she turned to Elijah. "I'm so sorry, Dr. Carter. My father isn't himself." Elijah nodded, his expression unreadable. He had encountered racism before, but rarely so openly. Dr. Elijah Carter is a highly skilled and experienced black surgeon, an expert in his field. He is known for his professionalism, patience, and unwavering commitment to saving lives, regardless of a patient's background or beliefs. His journey into medicine was shaped by resilience and determination. Growing up in a working-class family, he excelled academically despite facing systemic obstacles. His intelligence and drive earned him a scholarship to medical school, where he quickly distinguished himself. Elijah's reputation in the medical community is built on his precision in the operating room, his ability to remain calm under pressure, and his deep sense of integrity. He treats every patient with respect, even those who do not afford him the same courtesy. Elijah cleared his throat, choosing his words carefully. "Mr. Whitmore, I assure you, I am more than qualified to handle your case. I've performed over 1,000 successful procedures, and I am the chief surgeon in this department." Henry's laugh was dry and humorless. "I don't care about your fancy degrees or titles. I won't be operated on by someone like you. I have rights, you know." Elijah let out a slow breath, glancing at Claire, who looked close to tears. He didn't need this man's approval. His reputation spoke for itself. But he also knew that walking away meant failing not just Henry, but Claire, who clearly cared for her father despite his flaws. "I understand your concerns," Elijah said evenly. "I'll arrange for another doctor to oversee your case." Henry smirked, satisfied, but Claire wasn't. "No," she said firmly. "Dad, Dr. Carter is the best. If you want to live, you'll listen to him." Henry's expression faltered for a brief moment before his stubbornness returned. "I don't need charity, Claire." "This isn't charity," she shot back. "This is survival." A tense silence stretched between them before Henry turned away, grumbling under his breath. Elijah took it as his cue to leave. The next morning, an emergency changed everything. Henry's vitals plummeted, his heart was failing fast. The situation was critical. There was no time to call in another surgeon. As Henry was wheeled into the operating room, panic flickered in his eyes when he saw Elijah standing over him, scrubbed in and ready. "Wait. No time," Elijah cut in sharply. "Either you let me do my job, or you die on this table." Henry, for the first time in his life, had no retort. The surgery was long and complicated. Elijah's hands moved with precision, years of expertise guiding every motion. The team around him followed his lead without hesitation. There was no room for doubt, no space for prejudice in the operating room. Only skill and determination. Hours later, the surgery was a success. When Henry woke up, Claire was at his side, her face streaked with dried tears. He blinked up at her, then turned his gaze to Elijah, standing at the foot of the bed, arms crossed. "You," Henry croaked, his voice hoarse. Elijah raised a brow. "Yes?" A long silence. Then, finally, "Thank you." Elijah nodded. "Rest up, Mr. Whitmore. You'll need your strength." A flicker of something, shock, discomfort, maybe even shame, crossed Henry's face. He shifted in the bed, clearly struggling with what to say. The things that kept coming to his mind, he remembered, were yelling, hurling slurs, dismissing Elijah's competence. And now, here he was, alive, because of the very man he had degraded. Henry started, but his voice faltered. The weight of the moment pressed down on him. Elijah didn't wait for an apology that might never come. He took a step closer, his tone calm but firm. "Your heart could have stopped if we waited 1 minute longer, Mr. Whitmore. I didn't hesitate to save you, just like I wouldn't hesitate for any other patient. Whether you accept it or not, I did my job." A heavy silence filled the room. Henry looked away, staring at the ceiling as if searching for the right words. But none came. Claire squeezed her father's hand, and for the first time in years, Henry squeezed back. As Elijah left the room, a nurse caught up to him. "That was incredible," she said. "Do you think he's changed?" Elijah exhaled. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I do know he's alive to find out." And that was enough for now. After that moment of reflection, the tension in the hospital room settled into a quiet resolve. Elijah, now seated in his office briefly, his mind replaying every insult, every cruel word the patient had hurled at him before the surgery. He had saved the life of someone who despised him, and yet, he felt no triumph, only a deep-seated hope that the man would wake up someday and see the world differently. The next few days were filled with subtle shifts. Henry remained quiet whenever Elijah came in for his rounds, but there was no more hostility, just a lingering, unspoken tension. The nurses noticed it too. The man who once barked at them with entitlement now nodded in appreciation. On the day of his discharge, Henry sat on the edge of the hospital bed, staring down at the discharge papers. His hands trembled slightly. When Elijah entered for one last checkup, Henry looked up and cleared his throat. "I don't know what to say," Henry admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Elijah folded his arms. "You don't have to say anything, Mr. Whitmore. But if you walk out of here unchanged, then that's on you." Henry exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand down his face. He hesitated before finally muttering, "Thank you." Elijah gave a small nod and said, "Take care of yourself." And with that, he turned to leave, but before he could step out, Henry spoke again. Henry struggled with the words. "I think I have a lot to think about." Elijah glanced over his shoulder. "I hope you do." Throughout his career, he has encountered prejudice but refuses to let it define him. Instead of engaging in hostility, he lets his expertise and actions speak louder than words. His primary focus is always on the well-being of his patients, proving time and again that character and skill transcend ignorance. As Henry left the hospital, his mind swirled with emotions he hadn't confronted before. And as for Elijah, he walked into his next surgery without looking back, because he had always known his worth was never defined by the ignorance of others. Should medical professionals allow their patients to make decisions for themselves or save the patient's life no matter what? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Also tell us where you are watching from. And if you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and hit the subscribe button. Do not forget to turn on the notification bell for more inspiring stories.